Okay, so this video is basically a guy interviewing other guys, asking them who goes first, wife, daughter, or
You mean like who comes first
yeah, who comes first?
in his life?
Yeah, like
Oh, good.
mom,
Okay.
daughter,
God.
or wife.
Should be the wife.
Wait.
Who comes first, your mom, your daughter, or your wife? Mom, daughter, wife. Daughter, wife? Wife replaceable. Okay. Oh, wow. Replaceable.
Daughter, if I'm on good terms with my wife, then wife.
Daughter. Daughter's at one, okay. Uh-oh.
Ah! Daughter, mom, wife.
Daughter, mom, wife?
You get what I'm saying? You could always find another wife.
I was raised by a single mother, so my mom's got to come first. Then my daughter. Then your daughter.
wife.
Then your wife.
Then my wife.
Oof. This might be a scorchingly hot take, but not one of those men answered that question correctly. In a marriage, your spouse always has to come first.
Yep.
Because that's the only appropriate way to raise children, with the expectation that their spouse should put them first.
True.
And in a stable, loving household with low chance of divorce. And beyond that, I don't really know how to explain this phenomenon of men and their moms being unhealthily attached at the hip when they are grown up. I actually had a guy tell
didn't
me
have that
once
problem.
that I will never be as important to him as his mom, several years into a relationship. And I don't think he meant that in a negative way. I'm glad he had a great relationship with his family. But if you are discerning spending the rest of your life with someone and your mom still ranks on the priority list, then you really aren't ready for the type of commitment that marriage requires, in my opinion.
Who comes first, your
I kind of disagree with her because they put daughter first more than they put mom first.
Yeah.
It should be your significant other, because if your relationship is not solid, you're gonna fuck the kid up.
Yeah, but it's like
There's no buts about that. Because if you're not on good terms, if the daughter comes first, then the daughter can get in between your relationship. And if the daughter gets in between the relationship or your mom, it can ruin the relationship and end it. And then that's worse for the child. The child needs to see mom and dad happy and in love as a great team.
so I have an
Not
alternate
that
question.
she can sow chaos or mom sow chaos.
You can only save one of them. Which one do you save? The other two die.
Daughter.
Well,
She's the youngest.
just like a dog, you can always get another dog. You can always have another kid if you're young enough still. I mean, ideally, the girl's she's gotta be the number one priority. Your girl. I mean, because again, if you're not a solid team, you're not going to be great parents. You're not going to be as good a parents as you could have been.
But what about, because I was watching this and I was questioning it too, but it's just like, what if mom goes first, then wife? Because you do have to show your children to respect your mom. And, if you're putting your mom last, that's kind of showing your children not to respect your mom as much.
What if mom doesn't really like the wife very much and he puts mom first?
Well, that's a different case
Then
scenario.
she's not going to feel safe with her man. She's not going to trust his leadership.
She's gonna try and fuck his
She's
mom.
not going to feel like he can protect her. Because if he won't stand, because I've done countless phone sessions over the years where guys are in those kinds of situations where a family member or somebody causes some kind of drama between them and their wives, and they don't stand up for their wives. And it really creates a huge divide in their relationship because she doesn't feel safe with him anymore. Because now he's allowing mom or dad or an uncle or the priest or whoever to browbeat his wife and belittle her, and he just sits there and puts up with it. And then she feels attacked. She's like, you're not defending me. You're not looking out for me. So she doesn't feel safe. She feels like he would just throw her to the wolves if it displeases her mom or somebody else in the family. Or like I had one situation years ago, a guy wrote in an email, and the priest or the minister, they were getting married, was just kind of being a dick to his fiance, and she did not like the priest at all, to the point where she's like, I am not getting married in this church, and I'm not going to have him doing our service. It was the point where, and this was like a couple weeks before their wedding's supposed to happen. And, so you can imagine the stress that this guy's under. It's, and he allowed the priest to kind of, he was kind of dismissive of the wife and didn't really listen to her. So she didn't feel heard and understood. And the priest made her feel like he didn't give a shit. And so she was like ready to call the whole thing off and not get married, or at least not involve them or the church. And invitations are sent. Everybody's supposed to be showing up in a couple of weeks. He's like, fuck, I might not be getting married. I was like, the hell am I going to do? And, when he told me this situation, it's like, you got to go talk to the priests and you got to say, you really hurt my wife's feelings. We need this, you did that. And it's like, you got to fix this, because she's at the point now where she doesn't want to even have the wedding because she doesn't feel safe. She doesn't feel comfortable. And so I'd really appreciate it if you would, talk to my wife and apologize and smooth things over. And the priest was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. He's like, I had no idea. And
He said, "Oh my God,
maybe he did.
what a priest."
Well,
Terrible.
he's
He's
not a
like,
great
oh
priest,
my,
yeah.
I don't remember. You know what I mean? He's like, oh shit. He
Yeah.
wasn't happy about it. He was kind of embarrassed because he's supposed to be bringing them together and performing a ceremony. Instead, the wife's like, fuck him. He's an asshole.
Yeah.
And so the priest sat down with the wife, or the wife to be, and smoothed things over, made her feel safe and comfortable. And the guy led everything and made sure the wife was, happy with everything. And she was like, I'm right as rain. Everything is great. I can't wait to get married. And so they had their wedding, and it was beautiful and amazing. And he sent me an email afterwards telling me how everything went. And it was just, the man stepping up and stepping in and making sure somebody outside of their relationship didn't create a rift. And that's what happened. That's part of a man's job in leadership, is to make the woman feel safe. And so he was just like, hey, this is the priest. He's the authority. And, he didn't feel appropriate to step in, but it had created such a rift, and it made her feel so unsafe and uncomfortable that she didn't want anything to do with that priest or that church. So he had to step in and resolve it, and she absolutely adored him for what he did, because he made her feel safe. He came to her rescue. He fixed it.
So what about this case scenario, real life stuff? But basically, my uncle, he has a wife, and basically the wife doesn't like my grandma because this one time my grandma said a racist slur. She's very old school Hispanic, so she doesn't really like anyone but
Racist
her.
Colombian.
Yeah, she doesn't like anyone but Colombian. And I guess my
What
cousin.
does she think about you working for a cracker?
Oh, she likes white people
Just not that much.
because she thinks like white people have a lot of money. So it's like, oh yeah, white people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm glad you work for that guy.
But when it comes to the poor white people, then she uses the R word
What's the R
with the
word?
neck. But anyways,
the redneck.
Oh,
Yeah,
I see.
yeah.
The R word. I've never
White
heard
trash.
of the R word.
yeah, that.
Sorry, okay.
But basically, my cousin started dating. This was a while ago, a long time ago.
Yes.
She started dating black boys. And I guess my grandma said something about it, like, oh, she's going to ruin something, like something that's offensive, and said it in front of my aunt. And ever since that day, which was like 5+ years ago, she hated my grandma. So it kind of isolated my uncle, because my uncle sided with obviously his wife. And time after time, my grandma has apologized to her and let her know, like, I don't care who she dates. It's, I'm very old school. That's the only reason. But the wife never approved of it again.
So she didn't really apologize. She just made excuses for her behavior. She didn't say, I'm sorry for hurting your feelings. I'm sorry for offending you, or that was rude, or that was racist to me to say that. And I apologize. I wasn't thinking.
She did it over time. Like each year she would apologize even more, the more she realized, like, okay, and now she's more not so racist.
Not so racist. Or she's just better at hiding it.
But now, like for the past couple years, he never shows up to like family events or important things like Mother's Day, even though he wants to. Like he wants to, and he tells my grandma, I want to be around, but my wife so and so doesn't want me to go, or she doesn't feel comfortable, or she gets upset if I go, and stuff like that. So every holiday, Christmas, New Year's, Mother's Day, important things where we all try to do a family gathering, he's never there. Or if he does go, he stays for 10 minutes, and then his wife calls him. He's like, gotta go. But you can tell he wants to stay. Like you can tell.
He should be kind of man enough to stand up for himself. If your grandmother has actually apologized and she doesn't want to accept the apology, he's basically allowing his wife to run the relationship and run the marriage, which it sounds like she wears the pants and he just complies as happy wife, happy life nonsense.
Yeah.
But he makes himself miserable, and he's missing out on time with his family. And, quite frankly, his mother is not going to be around forever.
Mm-hmm.
So he's getting robbed of spending time with his mother.
Yeah.
And he needs to sit down and talk with his wife and say, look, she's apologized multiple times. Mom's getting old. She ain't gonna be around forever. And I don't want to not see her to keep you from getting upset. And it's like, you can't expect me to not have a relationship with my own mother, even though she might be a little racist or whatever it happens to be. She's family.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not going to abandon her. I'm not going to expect you to go over and spend time with her, but I do have to go over and see her and bring her a Christmas gift for her birthday and spend time with her.
Right.
And not like arrive and 5 minutes later, she's like, where are you at? Why aren't you home yet? He's like, oh, I got to go. I don't want to upset my wife.
Right. And now the wife doesn't even talk to anyone on our side of the family, like my mom or my other uncle. Doesn't talk to any of us. She doesn't like any of us, even though we didn't do anything to her. And partially, I think that's the reason my cousin doesn't talk to me either, because like I think the mom brainwashed her to be like, don't talk to them, or like they're bad or something like that. Really weird. But yeah, I don't know, because I know my mom will always be like number one.
Your uncle should be man enough to stand up for himself and at least spend time with the family. He can't expect them to go if they don't want to go, but he still needs to maintain his relationships and not let his wife dominate him.
That's what my mom
But she'd
says.
respect him more if he stood up for himself. But
Yeah.
if he's just a little bitch and lets her walk all over him and dominate him and tell him what to do, it's she's not gonna respect him as a man.
Yeah.
She's probably gonna be nasty and bitchy towards him because he's a little bit of a pussy.
That's like a miserable life too.
Is his wife black?
She's Puerto Rican.
Oh, she's
So she's a person of color as well.
She has like I think in her family she has some like black
Okay,
people.
that's why she was like really offended by it.
Yeah.
I was trying to see why she was so deeply offended by it.
Yeah.
I was like,
Or like my grandma is like homophobic too. So she'll like throw in jokes like, "Oh, I would never let any of my grandchildren date or become gay or something." Little
But
does
yet
she
she's
know.
got she doesn't oh, dark family secrets here.
Grandma's pretty based.
Yeah.
Grandma don't give a fuck.
She's funny. She's lovely though. She's just old school.
You don't give a fuck if she hurts your feelings. Cry more, get over it. Life's tough.
Yeah, she says some wild things, especially when she's drinking wine.
Oh shit.
And I'm like,
I want to listen to this.
we all have had
I'm
to tell her,
intrigued.
like, you have, like, around certain people, you can't talk like that.
Yeah.
Around us, obviously, we don't care because we understand, but she's like, oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. That's actually funny.
Yeah.